And I'm going to finish up today with hockey. I was asked a question, and it's a valid question, because I complain a lot about these guys, or these guys, whichever logo you prefer. Honestly, I prefer this logo and the colors and everything. The thing is, this jersey they wore regularly before I watched them, so this one has the sentimental value attached to it. That's why everybody wants the skate logo back. It's for sentimental reasons. Not because it looks better than this. This is sharp. The new stylized version on the third jersey is fantastic. But I digress. So I was asked a question, and then I was asked about Nikita Triamkin today. So the question is there anything that I see as a good thing about the Canucks? Valid question asked considering the amount of complaining I do. But I already mentioned the good stuff if you listen. Bo Horvat's my favorite player. My concern with Horvat is, do they ask too much of him too soon, and could it be overwhelming to him? That I genuinely have concern about. I love Triamkin. I watching. I remember when Triamkin came over and he was playing his first game, and I made sure I watched that game. And I came out of that game. I don't even remember if the Canucks won or lost. I didn't care. I came out of that game saying, "Wow, that kid is awesome." And I had seen him playing in, I want to say the Allen Cup, but it wasn't the Allen Cup. Was it the Allen Cup? Before he came over. And I was like, okay, this kid can skate. And he's not bad with the puck either. And he's huge. I looked at Nikita Triamkin, and to me, I saw a young Zdeno Chara. I did. I was very impressed with his mobility for his size. And, he hits hard. And he's got a lot going for his game. I was very impressed with Triamkin. I love Triamkin. I think he is a solid find for the Canucks. In net, Thatcher Demko's coming up. If Demko can be a solid starter in the next, I would say, 3 years, Markstrom's a stopgap, and I know there's people who like Markstrom that aren't going to like it, but I see Markstrom as a stopgap. I do. He is a goalie you use to get to your next goalie. He is a goalie who's going to play a couple years for you. He's going to be okay. He's going to play 40 to 50 games, but eventually he's out the door when your starter's ready. And there are transitional goaltenders out there. Demko is, I believe, the real deal. He's played through a very similar career as Corey Schneider did in college, and his numbers are better than Corey Schneider's, which is scary because Corey Schneider is fantastic in the NHL, and I think Demko has the potential to be that as well. And then, if other than that, it's hard. This is where it gets difficult because there's not a lot of depth at any position. There's not a lot of blue chip talent at any one given position either. So, as a Canucks fan, and I am one, I can look and say, okay, on the blue line we have Triamkin coming up. Branson coming in is, to me, it sucks because you're pushing Triamkin down to 6 instead of 4, and I really wanted to see Triamkin and Hutton together this year. I really wanted to see that as the 3-4. I thought Tanev, Edler, Hutton, Triamkin, interesting top 4. Hutton and Triamkin together, make her happen. I wanted to see it. No, I haven't checked to see if they're both left-handed or right-handed defensemen. But my point is still the same. I wanted to see it. I wanted to see Triamkin get a shot at playing some big minutes and playing, some penalty killing and maybe get a shot on the power play. Because you never know when these big guys, he's got a decent shot. You never know when they might be a little bit of a sniper on the power play. I was excited about Cole Castles when he was drafted because Andrew Castles was one of my favorite Canucks when he was here. He had a throwaway season because of injuries. But, yeah, I don't think Cole Castles is going to be an NHLer. Something tells me. I was excited about Gauntz. I still like Gauntz's game. I like Brendan Gauntz a lot. He's got a lot of heart and a lot of desire, but he's not good with the puck. He's not, he can turn it around. He's young enough to turn it around, but in broad terms, I don't think he's got the upside that a first rounder should have. Not all first rounders have it anyways, but he just doesn't have that offensive upside to him. Oh, everybody knows my opinion about, the Sedins are on the downside. They're still really good players, but they're on the downside. There's people penciling in Eriksson for 30 goals, even though he doesn't do that every year. He had a good year last year in Boston, but it's a contract year. People used to understand that before all the advanced stats and everything else. People understood that guys have contract years. They know their contract's up, and they put up tremendous stats, sign their contract, and then there's almost always a letdown the year after. So with where the Canucks are at, if Eriksson comes in and scores, say, 23 goals this year, it's a failure. If he scores 24, it's a failure. 26, but they're counting on him, and he's not that guy. I remember when he got to Boston from Dallas, and they kind of counted him to be Sagan, and he wasn't Sagan at all. So while Eriksson's a good guy and a good top six forward, and he can at most score you 30 goals, odds are you're not going to get 30 goals. You should get 20. You might get 25. But, and I know people are going to say, oh, well, he's with the Sedins. Yeah, but they're at an all-star tournament right now. It's not regular season hockey. It's completely different. It is a completely different game. What else is there to like? I love Tanev. Chris Tanev's a fantastic defenseman. No matter whether you're looking at just his straight stats or his advanced stats, his game's fantastic. And I think if the Canucks ever decided to trade him for help up front, I might need a new team to cheer for, probably the team that Tanev goes to. Up front, Virtanen, the jury's still out on Virtanen. I don't like the way he was used last year. I don't think it helped his growth. And if they do it again this year, I think they could be developing a third, fourth line energy player rather than a top six goal scorer. He was brought in to score goals. He was brought in to be a shift disturber. That's what he's brought in to do. And his first season there was shift disturbing, but there wasn't a lot of points scored. And at some point you turn a prospect into a suspect, as Ted Nolan said. And that can happen as early as year two. So that's really as close as I can get to being optimistic. And then the question gets asked, well, when do you think the Canucks get back to the playoffs? Well, I really don't know, because then I'm not only projecting what happens this year, but projecting into what they do next summer, what they do at the draft, how far they are down at the draft, what happens in free agency next summer, who might get bought out, who might retire. There are so many things that can happen. So it's virtually impossible for me to figure out how many years it's going to take. I think 3 is probably realistic, but with the right management and with some smart moves, and if prospects can develop quickly, it could be this year. It's just the league is that tight, that close. And the Canucks are just porous enough that I view them as being one of the lesser teams, one of the bottom teams. But it can be relatively quick to switch that around, depending on the organization you're and your GM. But the Canucks have a history of their seasons being up and down. I just think they're in for another down year this year. I think the Canucks, and that's good for them. That's the funny thing too. When people get mad, like, oh, they're not going to be last. It's like, you should be cheering for them to be last. If there is a year to tank, this might be it, because the Canucks are just in that rebuild phase. And then if you can parlay that top draft pick into either Liljegren or Patrick, your team looks much, much better. Ulevy, We'll see whether or not he's an NHL defenseman. We won't see it this year, is my guess. I think it'll be at least 2 years. But we'll find out soon. The one thing that I do take solace in as far as being a Canucks fan is that they are a very cyclical team. As dark and as ugly as things might be right now, they will turn around. The question then becomes, will they ever win the big one? I can't answer that because I kind of given up on it. And that's not a statement on the Sedins. It's not a statement on Miller. It's not a statement on, I'm not being a really negative prick about this. It's just a matter of, realistically, do I ever see this team winning a championship? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. And only time will tell. But yeah, so that's as optimistic as I get. Is Triamkin, Demko, Horvat. You have the makings of a pretty decent core, and Tanev. And then outside of that, it's a lot of maybes, who knows, and guys need to bounce back. Anyways, so that's it. That's my view on the Canucks. I may try making a video like this about Boston as well because of my alcohol-induced rage. No, it was induced by me. It was self-induced rage at the Bruins. For all I wanted was Matt Barzal. I mean, I would have been okay. So could have had Barzal, Connor, and Konechny. Could have absolutely stacked center. Maybe I'll make a video tomorrow on the good things about being a Bruins fan going into the season. Things to look forward to as a Bruins fan. And see if it's more of a challenge or less than the view to the future as a Canucks fan. Anyways, thanks for watching, and thank you very much for your support. It means a lot.